Emotionally Unavailable.
Welcome to Emotionally Unavailable, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of emotional availability and intimacy. I'm your host, Melissa Hepner, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have you join me on this journey of self-discovery and connection. Whether you're navigating the complexities of relationships or exploring your own emotional landscape, this podcast is here to inspire, empower, and entertain. So get cozy and let's explore the depths of human emotions together. Hi, folk. Happy Friday again, because I said that for Wednesday's episode, because I was tired. So today's guest is Susan Gold. Oh, my goodness, is she magical? She really is kind of just like a ray of light. She really radiates warmth. And I do not remember if I asked her astrology. She's got Leo in her somewhere. Because of her hair, I'm going to guess she's a Leo rising. Susan, if you listen to this, can we talk about your astrology, please? Because she's got this gorgeous mane of hair. And that is very, who knows what I'm trying to say. Anyway, that's like every Leo rising, it's one of the way that you can point them out is because they will have like the most fabulous hair. Not every Leo rising embraces their curls though. Like my friend Jessica, she has very curly hair as well, and she's a Leo rising, but she just never learned like how to manage it, and so she's very overwhelmed by her hair. But Leo risings have beautiful hair. My baby, the middle one, is a Leo rising, and he has beautiful hair. Anyway, okay, this is her little bio thing. Navigating a ferociously challenging upbringing. Love the way you put that, Susan. While bravely moving forward, awakening as an adult to face ingrained, outdated, toxic systems head on, Susan now shares a unique perspective in viewing life challenges as occasions for transformation. Living from the inside out versus the outside in and finding your own sovereignty are the keys to freedom. Through her book, Toxic Family, Transforming Childhood Trauma into Adult Freedom, Susan turns the standard paradigm on its head courageously, leading others through her own journey of abuse, addiction, and surviving narcissism, all while creating a distinctly empowering personal and professional life. Susan was raised in a challenging and chaotic family system, the middle child of 5. To fully thrive, she bravely chose to meet the demons of her upbringing that were continuing to repeat. Her book, Toxic Family, Transforming Childhood Trauma into Adult Freedoms, is all about that journey. Professionally, Susan became known for attaching celebrity talent to projects in New York City, which led her to produce for television and film and on to Los Angeles. She convinced modern art legend Andy Warhol to do an on-camera commercial for Pontiac, a talent deal American TV personality Donnie Deutsch still claims as one of his best. Helped launch Fox News Channel at the request of Chair Roger Ailes, and on behalf of Disney Channel persuaded A-list celebrities Ben Stiller, Jack Black, Taylor Swift, David Beckham, and more to be interviewed by cartoon characters Phineas and Ferb. Susan is a decorated endurance athlete competing in 3 marathons and dozens of triathlons, and has the distinction of finishing 3rd in her own age group at the treacherous Escape from Alcatraz event. Ooh, imagine that. After living with force on both coasts of the United States, Susan headed an intuitive call for a quieter life and now resides in the northwest corner of the mystical state of Montana with her beloved partner and their pets. Keen on leaving a legacy to help others heal from challenges she's successfully met, she is now working in private sessions to help others drop outdated storylines and programming in exchange for living from the heart in authentic freedom as adults, as well as to define their inner gifts, discernment, and sovereignty. Supporting homeless animals, especially dogs and cats, and helping others up the ladder are her joys. Okay, so the second half of this bio actually leads perfectly into what I want to say about a segment of this interview. And I'm going to be really honest, I am really nervous to touch this topic. In this conversation, I remember asking Susan something about like what a time she was scared of something or something. And she listed her big fear was when her son chose to get the COVID vaccine. And I said, yeah, I hear you. And I was afraid of it myself. And I talked about being afraid of what is that, the HPV vaccine? Okay, I want to talk about it. And I'm going to be really fucking honest right now. This isn't the first time something like this has come up on my show, and I've always edited it out. And if I'm being very transparent, the only reason I'm having this conversation right now is because I don't want to dig through this episode to find that one thing to edit out. And I'm happy for that, to be honest, because I'm ready in my own journey to be able to hear. That's not the right word. Allow, I guess, for other opinions and inquiries into topics like vaccines. I want to make it clear that I am not anti-vaccine. I have all of my immunization, well, sort of, my parents, cute. Anyway, my children are vaccinated. That's a choice that I have made for them. On the HPV vaccine, I'm a person whose catastrophic thinking can go very out of control very quickly. I heard one or two stories and just said, you know what, it won't be too late for them to decide this on their own at 18. I will let them make this decision. I will help them. I don't know. I was scared. And here's the deal. I don't touch these topics because it's another area I feel very vulnerable, because they're very polarizing topics. Politics, vaccines, things like that. And there have been a couple of times that I've edited out quite a chunk because, people alluded to the fact that they believed kind of very differently than what I wanted to necessarily promote on my show. I'm not promoting any particular ideology on anything, is the thing. If you ask me what my personal belief and opinion on any subject is, I'm going to give you my God's honest truth. But I have been somewhat afraid of the polarizing nature of those topics touching my show. But it is what it is. And what I know about Susan is I don't know what her politics are. I don't know if she's completely anti-vaccine. I don't know, because I'm not interested in that shit. So I didn't ask, because it set off an alarm, because I was nervous that I was going to upset someone. I'm not upset by anything that Susan said, but I get very nervous about how things will be received. And I'm going to quit doing that. I have really been doing no editing on episodes for a while now, and I like it that way. And it's one thing if I'm having to edit a sound issue, I'll go all day on that shit trying to deliver a good quality product to you. But where I'm at in my healing journey is being allowed to sit in conversations that make me uncomfortable sometimes. And Susan didn't make me uncomfortable, but I will tell you that people who believe wildly different than me for a very long time, and I'm not referencing Susan, and I'm sorry that I keep saying that, but I'm really just addressing an overall theme in my life right now, and not Susan. So, the thing is that being able to hold space for differing belief systems, etc., it has been an issue for me, and I am working on that. So for me, it's important that I quit trying to sterilize some of these topics. You have heard me say, as audience members, plenty of times that I don't give a shit about politics. I give a shit about human beings and humanity and whatever. I have made my stance, I think, clear enough without getting into it. If you have a question, I'll be happy to answer it directly and 100% authentically, truthfully, honestly, whatever you think. So, but I have allowed certain narratives to be very scary to me for a long time, and I don't want to fucking be afraid to have conversations with people who believe differently, because I'm afraid of receptivity. And I don't think anyone's actually going to care, is the thing. This has been something that, really freaks me out. And the truth is, I want to be able to be more honest about certain things, like just upfront without like having, I want, if you tune into this show, I want you to know kind of the general understanding of who I am as a person, and who I am as someone who's still figuring shit out all the time. And my beliefs on things change daily. And I am a way different person than I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. And I've evolved as a human. And so some of that evolution allows me to take in new information in a different way. And so, yeah, I guess cancel culture has me a little freaked out. And also, I don't want to promote people who are actively causing harm to the world. And some of the anti-vaccine rhetoric is harmful. I believe that. That's my belief. So anyway, we have a lot of harmful rhetoric. I don't want to get into all that shit because I'm not out there. That's not where my advocacy lies. So if that's where it lies for you, I'm not saying for or against anything. I'm saying for me, this has been my experience. This is what I'm afraid of, blah, blah, blah. And I just didn't want to have to fucking go through all the work of finding this one place where we talked about that and edit it out, all because I'm afraid. I don't want to do things from a place of fear anymore. I hope I said that well. I hope you all understand that I'm not saying Susan isn't anything. I don't know. What I know about Susan is this conversation that we had, and it was very beautiful and enlightening, and that's it. So, okay. Well, sorry for the 11-minute intro. It's been a minute since I've done that to you all. I love you sincerely, deeply, from the bottom of my heart, and I hope you feel that when you hear this, and send it back my way. And here's me and Susan.
Emotionally unavailable.
Hi.
Hi, I love your red glasses.
Thank you.
Is it Melissa?
No, it's Melissa.
Melissa. Okay, it's just spelled differently, right?
Yes, you know how parents are. They thought they were cute. There was actually like revisions of birth certificates and whatnot because they were that serious about making sure it was different.
It's different. Yeah, I love it.
Yes, it is. I love your hair.
Oh, thank you. Can yours go like this? Like, do you straighten yours?
Okay, so it can't go as curly, but I have Irish curls. So if I just blow dry it, it'll look this straight, but I can also put curl cream in it and get a pretty decent curl going. Like, especially if I use a diffuser and stuff, but like, that's a lot of effort. Like, I actually have to like put product in it and stuff. But yeah, I was looking at your pictures earlier because I never remember who I'm recording, like what your deal is, you know? So I was reading your bio and I was like, oh my God, those pictures are amazing.
They're old. I haven't had a new picture done in so long. I have to get one done.
I really need to also, but you know, the ones I use are stuff I did. Like I took a picture and just like edited the background and stuff in Photoshop.
At least you did that. I didn't even Photoshop. So.
Well, I'm going to need to do more soon. I just remembered I didn't have my earrings in for today. I'm traveling later, so I don't want to forget my stuff. Anyway, I'm really excited for this conversation because it sounds like we've had very similar paths, honestly. So let's jump right in. You've just recently written a memoir because your childhood was just absolute shit, it sounds like. Like mine. What is your story? Tell me about it.
So I wanted to leave my home as soon as I could. I did at 17, and I didn't often go back. I wanted to be like Barbara Walters. I used to watch her, you know, all the time. And I manifested it. I moved to New York at 19, and then I moved back after I graduated from college at 21. And I was working at a global talent agency, like where every celebrity known to mankind was represented at the time in New York, but I wasn't making a lot of money. So I picked up a side hustle, exercise training, personal training. Before it was chic, Barbara became one of my clients.
Oh my God, you are good at manifesting. My God, I'm going to need to get some tips from you, Susan. Like your personal trainer clients, like you taught, like she worked her biceps with you and shit.
Yeah. And she, one day I rang her on her doorbell at 7 a.m. and she's like, "Get in here. What's going on?" And she got it out of me with it. I had been sexually harassed in the workplace, which was typical for my upbringing and where I was coming from at the time. She offered me a job with her then fiance, who was working for a big film distribution company. I said, yeah, I can't be an admin, Barbara. So I began matching celebrities to brands before it was chic,
Yeah.
because that's what I've been doing. My first deal was to convince Andy Warhol to do a commercial for Pontiac. He didn't want to do, because I'd let him have his dogs in the shot with him. That's a whole story. Like, I
Oh
can
my
do that whole
God.
story. If you want that story, I can tell that story. But I became a producer matching celebrities to brands because I was so good at attaching celebrities, and that got me into producing. That got me from New York to LA. And
Jealous. What a cool life.
ultimately, I'm facing all my trauma as I go on by the decade.
Mhm.
Like, first it was alcohol and drugs, and I put that down before you were born. And then I went and faced my clinical depression and suicidal ideation that was
Mhm.
troubling me since I was 6. And then the perfect storm came, the narcissistic husband.
Oh, good.
That's
Yeah.
That's what put
And
all.
you were a magnet for that too,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
ask you this. When you were like 18, 19, 20, were you one of those people like me that was like, yeah, I mean, my childhood was shit, but like, I don't think it's really affecting me very much.
yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it was off. I have memories going back to 18 months. I'm very different from my sister and my brothers. I saw clearly my role was to keep my parents together. I used to break up their fights, and some of them were extremely violent, like with
Yeah.
knives and,
I had
horrible.
that too. Yes, I totally get that. So were you the golden child then?
Well, my last name's Gold now, but
That's funny.
everybody in my family thinks I was the one that got all the special treatment. If I was, God
Oh,
bless.
everybody says that. No, but the golden child really is like the biggest people pleaser of the family.
Oh, that's me.
And fixes everything and whatever. And then when you get your shit together, you become the black sheep of the family because you're the one who's just totally separated from all that toxicity. And I, like you, was the golden child. I fixed everything. I was the glue. I got the hell out of that house the second I could. I graduated in June, moved out in August, and my grandma was like, I was primarily raised by my grandma, a lot of back and forth with my mom, but my parents were addicts and then they died young. But my grandma was a narcissist, and she did that thing of like, you'll be back. And I was like, oh, honey, if only you knew that if you had never said that, I probably would have like tucked my tail and come home when things kind of went to shit. But like, no. So I just did the next best thing, which is shack up with a boy and get married really young, because why wouldn't you do that? But yeah, I just always wondered, like, what are other people's perceptions at that age? Because I think like this new generation, like Gen Z, they're pretty aware of their trauma, but they're allowed to be, like, no, their generation has, not to say Gen X did not fuck our kids up, because God knows we did, but like they just had a vocabulary for it that we didn't get to learn until way later, because they didn't talk. This wasn't a talk. Like, we didn't have these conversations on the daily like we do now.
Yeah, you want to hold it in, like you were talking about your previous guest on the last show. She was so sweet, from Hawaii, I think.
Yes, yeah, Blake.
Yeah,
I really like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were told to rub some dirt on it and walk it off, or stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. So when you get to 18, especially like in my case, my brothers have fucking lost their minds by the time I'm graduating high school. My older brother became schizophrenic around, like, as I was moving out of my grandma's house, and then my younger brother had been done, run away and drugs and all this stuff from the time he was 14. I was the literal golden child. I was doing everything I could to hold this family together. And I was like, this is a lot of pressure. But because I wasn't doing drugs, and I was, I'd only had sex with the person I lost my virginity to at fucking 18 and a half, all the things, I beat all the statistics. Now, I did only graduate with like a 1.7 GPA in high school, but nobody cared about that shit. I was like, that's probably fine. But I'm doing all the right things for all the wrong reasons. So I'm like, no, my childhood just didn't have an impact on me. Meanwhile, I'm the biggest psycho everybody knows.
Yeah, because you're so emotionally shut down, which is why I love the title of your podcast. And I would love to talk about that because I was so shut down. I didn't even know happy, mad, sad, glad. I was like, give me a
Right.
fucking list. And
Yes.
that's been key to recovery.
Yes.
So I can tell the glossy entertainment stories and drop the celebrity names, and then I want to go into emotional unavailability.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
And
it's real. It is so real for us to not have a single fucking clue how to even do any of this. Like, was the biggest revelation for you to learn how to have a feeling? I was so shocked. I thought all these years of trauma bonding and trauma dumping and, whatever it was, that like I was in touch with my feelings. Nothing could be further from the truth. I couldn't identify them, let alone experience them.
yeah, and you didn't know if you wanted Chinese or Italian for dinner. No idea, because it had everything to do with your grandmother or somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you're taught to be compliant, you don't know how to make choices.
Right, right.
It's so, oh man, yeah. Well, and that honestly, that is why I named my show that, because I was so shocked. Like I don't know if you've heard me say this story, but I'm a person who will just randomly take quizzes on the internet because I spend a little too much time on the internet, And one was like, I've literally been like, am I a narcissist? Okay. Like whatever quiz. I've taken like, is your spouse abusive? Knowing damn well my spouse is not abusive. Now I did learn some shit about myself in that, but so I take this emotionally unavailable quiz and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not emotionally unavailable. Am I? So I text my social work friend and I'm like, hey, do you think I'm emotionally unavailable? It's 11:11 on the clock right now. That's so funny. And she was like, mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. Well, this is a new concept for me. Can you give me like an example? Because literally I didn't see this about myself at all. And she's like, yeah, the way you retell your trauma is a real big example. And I was like, I am a fucking comedian about that. Like I am funny, like that's
some of it is funny. Some of it is funny when you work through it and you get distance and you see the passion of it and the purpose.
Yes.
And how it really creates incredible soul evolution. Like I have come miles on this life road.
Yes. Did you have a spiritual awakening during your healing?
I had many spiritual awakenings. I think I've died. I've had near-death experiences on Earth as a Scorpio, diving into
up in that underworld. Yes. Well, that was kind of the case for me too, where it really started. The very first thing I really think was whenever I had this epiphany of like, I'm trying really fucking hard to become somebody, that's unrealistic, but also I don't want to just be that, and really just starting to embrace all the sides of me instead of, because I the biggest source of shame that I carried was my reactivity to everybody. Like I was so reactive. I couldn't have conversations with literally anyone. Now, if I didn't know you very well, I would give you freeze or fawn and be like, okay. And then I just went home and took it all out on my family because like it created a lot of big feelings. I didn't know what they were or what to do with them in every conversation. And then learning, like, because I used to talk with my husband and everything he said was a trigger. And I'm not exaggerating. We could not have simple conversations. And he was like, cool, should have known that was going to happen. I mean, and that would hurt even worse because I'm like, I know, and I don't know why. Like I had no idea what was happening every single minute of my life because I just lived in survival mode from one minute to the next and just had no idea.
And that PTSD and the CPTSD is just wailing. Yeah.
Gnarly.
And the grounding is not even, I got no time for that.
Well, this was my thing with grounding is I was like doing the traditional methods of like the 5 things you can see, the 4 things you can, whatever the shit is. And I was like, okay, this must not be meant for brains like mine because I can do that and simultaneously still be overthinking. But you know what I did learn helped? If I can be very immediate and just start naming shit that's right in front of me,
Mhm.
like really focused on rapid fire naming as many things as I can, that will do it immediately. I can get from like a 10 to a 6 in 3 seconds that way. But that other shit, I was like, my brain's broken. I just can't do this because grounding was not working at all for me.
Mm.
So where did you grow up?
Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania. It's a tiny town.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I wondered if you were from the Midwest like me, but what was that like? So your parents stayed married until
No, they were married until I was in 5th grade. And then
oh,
he came back when I was in 7th grade till 11th grade. They lived again with each other.
oh my God. Was it worse those last times? Or was it better?
In some regard, it was better. And in some regard, it was worse. Because
Really?
I knew even more. Yeah, I knew even more. I knew a lot as a little one. Like 4 years old, I was very,
Mhm.
very highly, because we're super empaths. So
Yeah, and the knowing was
yeah.
so weird for me. You know, like I'm probably only just now really comfortable with like sitting in the fact that I know something without any real reason to know it, you know? Like I for so many years I would question, you know how it is when you question your intuition and
Oh
I
yeah.
would just immediately know something about somebody and I would be like, am I crazy? What, you know, and then want to just poo poo it away. And then I learned how to listen to the intuition and see that, like, oh, I was right, you know. But yeah, I can remember being a kid, just I think so much of it is the trauma, but also when you're the one who's responsible for everyone in your family and that hypervigilance, you just take it all in. And imagine how much of our subconscious was programmed those early ass years. You know, like if you think about how it is programmed and how rapidly we were taking in information because we had to keep ourselves safe. Damn, like no wonder it's so hard to heal from that, you know?
Yeah, and it's not just in the ancestral line. It's coming from your schooling, which is not
Yeah.
education. It's coming from any religious upbringing you had. It's
Mhm.
coming from the medical system. It's
Oh
like,
my God, you're so right. Man, I have trauma from all of those things, like so much
and
because
we don't know it. We don't even know it. And
yes,
having to
yes.
wake up to it now because it's all falling apart. Thank God. Thank God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But did you like, was that something the first time that you like had some interaction with a medical provider that like was just a little too paternalistic and condescending and dismissing and minimalizing and trivializing? Like the response I fucking have to that. Now I know how to advocate for myself and be just like fiery back if I need to be. But all those years of fawning, boy, I would just go home and cry and then maybe send a strongly worded email that I could perfectly craft to make sure that I still looked good, you know?
Mm,
That's how I lived my life. Like
yeah.
not standing up for myself, but like maybe later after I've overthought it for, about 36 hours, maybe then I'll have worked out a perfect email that, I will feel good about.
Oh my gosh, Melissa, you're hilarious.
Thanks. I'm in a good mood. I'm flying out today, so I'm really excited and just I don't know, those last fucking the this is the only thing I'm going to contribute it to. Are you into astrology? Yeah, because you're talking about Scorpio. Okay. So Mars being in Cancer was not good for me at
Mhm.
all. Like it's first of all my fourth house and some shit went down in my fourth house that was not fun to deal with and I'm kind of just recovered. Like it was going okay, but it was very tumultuous, like up and down with my kids and I was like, "Oh my god, dude, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Like I am not well right now." I mean, not like horrible, but I was really having to like use the tools to manage my everyday life. And
Yeah.
then just like exhaustion, like I just was so tired. And then once it moved to Leo, I'm doing okay. It's
Oh,
still
good.
on a cusp of my fourth house, but like I'm an Aries rising and a Leo moon. So yeah, yeah. And then a Gemini sun. It's a great big three. I'm pretty spicy. So I'm really glad to have it back over in Leo because I'm serious. I was like, oh God. I was all crying one day, which is not really like me to just like sit and not know why I'm crying. But I was like,
I'm just going to allow it. It's fine. Something's going on that I just haven't seen yet. It'll be fine.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
So you're a Scorpio sun. What are your other big three?
In Western, I'm Scorpio, Sun, my moon, and rising are both Sag. And yeah, so you know what that is.
Yeah.
And then in Vedic, I'm Libra with double Scorpio. So
oh God.
Yeah, I came for big business.
Yeah, you did. Jesus Christ. You did. And you're doing it, you know?
Yeah, I am. It's been painful, but yeah, I'm doing it.
Where do you live now, if you don't mind my asking?
I don't mind at all. I live in Northwest rural Montana. I live 4 miles from the Canadian border, and I never thought in a million years. It wasn't even on my bucket list, Melissa.
How did you end up there?
I needed an internal call. They were telling me my solar panels I was gonna have to, do something because it was going to be cost prohibitive for me to run. They were talking about doubling the capital gains tax. I wasn't leaving Southern California and LA until my son was through college and he was in his freshman year. And then they put a 5G tower up on my neighbor's curb, and my dog started going crazy at 4:30 in the afternoon. And I was like, this does not feel right. And so I looked in West Virginia because I'd done a film junket in Greenbrier County, and it was so beautiful there. And they were paying people at the time to move that worked from home.
Oh, wow.
But something didn't feel right. And I had a friend in Kalispell, and she kept saying, Montana, Montana, Montana. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. And then I said, okay, I'm coming in mid-January. And Kalispell, I didn't like. It was like living in the San Fernando Valley. Like, why would I move from LA to
Right.
Eureka came up. She's like, you may want to check out Eureka. And as soon as she said the word, I was like, oh yeah, that's it. Because I used to have a cabin in the Catskills when I lived in New York City, and I loved it. And this was like the Catskills times 7. And I don't know why my dog just started barking. She doesn't even do that. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Montana.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm in Montana. And I heated
Who
the
else
call.
lives in rural Montana that used to be in LA? Adrienne Curry.
Adrienne Curry?
Yeah, she was on America's Next Top Model.
Oh.
And then married Peter Brady. What was his real name? Chris Knight, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why I just thought of that, because I haven't thought about her in years, but she just randomly popped up on my TikTok yesterday. I spend way too much time on TikTok. It's embarrassing.
You're hilarious.
But
I love it.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, like, wow, what a parallel, because she's not in like show business at all anymore, I guess. But it sounds like she really might live close to you, because she's a very rural area.
Oh, really? Because most everybody lives in Bozeman. They call it Bose Angeles. Because everybody that was in LA.
Look, I'm gonna have to look it up and tell you later, because now I'm curious. Because y'all might even know each other and you don't even know, because she hasn't been in celebrity in forever. So what has been like? I can pinpoint one thing that just shifted everything for me in terms of my healing. Can you is there one thing?
Well, I think getting sober was the basic. That was the primary tool that I needed. And that was early. I was 25, and I've been so clean and sober ever since. So that's like the bargain basement platform for me.
Were you struggling with the substances, or you just felt like
I had the same red flags that I saw in my family, and I didn't think that I was ever going to go that route. And I was drinking to black out. And, but I didn't understand that was connected to any of the things that were going awry in my career, in my life. And I was really fortunate, because I went to a therapist, which was wild. And I said, my life's out of control and completely unmanageable. And he immediately started talking about, was there alcoholism in my family? So I don't go
weird.
I don't go to the A's program anymore. I've not gone for years, but if I felt like I had an impulse or an urge, I would run back. But I feel like those programs are for narcissists, and I'm an empath. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
I touch lightly around people who love those programs.
Oh yeah, no,
Uh,
I'm grateful for what it did.
Right. I
did
mean, for
for
what they
me.
are, they can work for some people,
Yeah.
and I will not say anything other. Also, I also know some of my shit is projection because I grew up going to those meetings with my mother, and she still died, so I still have a hard time with that a little bit. But like,
Yeah.
I just in learning more, like it's not a one size fits all, and that's what I don't like because they try to make it that way, and it's like, man, you gotta fucking bend a little bit here. People
I
are
got some tools. I got some tools that helped me live that I missed early on, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate these tools. But what's really made the ultimate distance and difference, not just the meditation. I've been on 10-day retreats, silent retreats, and on the cushion for years. And I'm really glad, like, I don't need that anymore either to connect. It's mostly through nature and grounding. When I feel like I want to go to the cushion, I do, but it's not mandatory. But really, the biggest thing was facing the alleged narcissist, extricating myself from that, and understanding my value was coming from the outside in versus the inside out, even after everything that I had done, being clean and sober for decades, and beating clinical depression and meditating, and then getting myself out of a narcissistic marriage. That's what it really took for me to understand my heart is probably even more important than my head. And if I hear that word mindset one more time, I'm going to get a rifle, because I feel like we have been trained out of following.
right.
And like you, I'm highly psychic, but shoved that under the carpet and just browbeat the shit out of myself because I wasn't worthy enough until I was almost dead from the narcissistic abuse. And it was a 1-year period where this was a home I bought and paid for. And I was living in a partial conversion in the garage while my ex-to-be was living in the master. So that explains the relationship.
Yeah.
That's what really
and it's so easy to get into a situation like that, honestly, when you don't have a single understanding of your worth. Like,
I've never been with somebody who valued that and improved that. That was I didn't know that.
Right. Well, and I was always kind of the dominant partner. Like, I've always been the alpha in I'm sure that's surprising to you. I've always been the alpha because I just lived in this masculine energy all the time. And oh God, still unraveling how much I have pushed people away just from rejection sensitivity is still just hard for me, because I know what I was thinking at the time, and I see it felt so right, and it felt so much like I wasn't being unhealthy. Like, I thought I was making good choices for myself. Like, oh, they're not showing up for me the way I need them to, or whatever. And it just hurts me because, like, now I connect to those experiences so differently. But to your point about fucking mindset, I'm okay when we talk about it, because we know what the fuck we're talking about. We know what we mean when we say mindset. Like, for me, mindset is I can get into it, whatever energy I want to be in, you know what I mean, by going within. But these fucking people like Tony Robbins, all of them, I can't stand it. I can't stand it because
Joe Dispenza and all those guys.
They're so emotionally unavailable. Like, I'm gonna say this a little quieter because I feel really guilty saying this, but a little bit Mel Robbins too. Because it's just masculine. It's not feeling, it's not flow, it's not connecting. It's just repeating phrases to yourself over and over. And I'm like, hey, that works when you know where the fuck the shit came up from anyway. That's a tool. But when you're just repeating shit that you don't understand on an intimate level, you're doing the same shit you've always done. You're relying on the finite amount of self-control, discipline, and motivation that you wake up with every day. And in my case, that shit was gone by the time the kids left for school, because I was really like, in all the things I've ever done wrong as a mother, and God fucking knows there's been plenty. That was the one thing I was like, send them off with love. So most mornings I could maintain long enough to get them sent to school without like shit bitching or any of the, taking all the shit they'd give me in the morning, all the things. I've done pretty well at that most of their life, but that was it. Like, it was all gone by then, because remember, I'm being serious. I woke up in survival mode. I went to sleep in survival mode. I was running from the bear every breath I took. So that's it. Like, I have no more self-control or discipline. That's what you're relying on when you're just trying to repeat a phrase over and over. Like, let them. Let them is not a bad philosophy, but like, what was coming up for you to need to say this to yourself? Because if you're not addressing the root, what are you fucking doing? Like, your mind was the problem in the first place. Like, the fact that you spent so much time up there. Can you resonate with that? Did you overthink just all the fucking time?
I was so controlling. I looked different.
Yeah.
I look much more feminine now. You were talking about your masculine. I had the masculine too, because I was the one in control. I was the one hauling the bills.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one doing the child care.
Yep.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I know all about that control. And then just like, you want to let go a little bit, but like, if they're not going to do it the exact way you want them to, then what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
God, that's been the biggest like growth for me, is learning to like let go of the right way to do things.
I think my biggest letting go was I was very opposed to the vaccine, and my son wanted it. And I was so opposed. I got him from a bishop in Chicago and out, and he wouldn't do it. He still wanted it. So at 17, I went with him and I watched him. And then 2 nights later, we were at the ER, and he has heart issues. He has issues from the vaccine, in my opinion. But I knew that this was his path. This was his choice. And I chose to support him in it, even though I was violently opposed, and still am. And it's really hard. Really hard.
Yeah. God, learning to like be more of like a fucking shaman for my kids instead of like this dictator has been quite the shift for me, because I mean, that really is the way I was before, and it really is the way I am now.
Your book, Melissa. That should
Being a shaman for my kids
versus a dictator, or
Well, for real, because oh my God, all the expectations that I placed on them and the weight of those expectations, and all because I viewed them as an extension and a reflection of me, so anything they did would trigger all that fear and shame in me. And I would just lean in. I'd be like, oh God, what are we going to do? And now I'm like last summer, some friends of mine busted up laughing because my daughter they have a lake house, and she was playing on the shore and did something with some rocks and whatever. And she came back. I was looking at it like, that's about to get washed away. But, if you know anything about human design, she's a manifester. You can't tell this girl anything. She's going to do what the hell she's going to do. So I'm so thankful I learned that early on with her. So she comes up and she's like, I made this little blah, blah, blah out there. And I was like, well, I'm sure you know best about whether or not it's going to be safe there, or whatever I said, instead of being like, you may want to go check it because blah, 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 because that would have pissed her off. I was like, I'm sure you know best. She walks off and they busted up laughing. And I was like, I'm a shaman. That's all I know. Yeah, because she's not going to listen to me. She does not listen to shit. But except she does, because now I'm not coming to her from this asshole place where I'm trying to fucking control everything. It's crazy because she's my one kid that really just the connection where she gets what I'm saying. And maybe it's because she's my only girl, but she will listen to me, and she steals all my clothes. Like, she's just like she's so obsessed with me. It's crazy. And I love it because I mean, the boys are boys, and they're like, I mean, you're all right, I guess. But like, but it's great because we can have organic conversation. She can get what I want her to get instead of like constantly just trying to preach to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
The wood in your house is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much. It's local larch, and the builder is really proud of it. It's just very soft, and
is it?
Yeah, but it's beautiful. I love it. It's beautiful.
It is so pretty.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was a big deal. It took me 2.5 years to go, oh yeah, this is my house. I own it and I live here. not the maid, not the
Yeah.
wife.
So you live there alone?
No. So I met my boyfriend. I was 7 years. I had one date with a Academy Award winning director and Emmy winning producer. He had the big Michael Jordan series out when he invited me to go to an event with him. And I was like, ugh, this guy's a narcissist. He wouldn't even pick me up. I'm 15 minutes away from him. He wouldn't pick me up, wanted me to come over and go with him. And I was like, yeah, red flag out. That was my one date in 7 years. And then I felt really disconnected. Like my friends, like you talk about, we weren't resonating anymore. I was acting as if, but their belief systems it just became too apparent. And so I did this class online, and there were two gentlemen that lived in LA. Everybody else was from around the globe. And I made 10 minutes with everybody on Zoom because I wanted to get to know everyone. And the two gentlemen I invited for coffee. Well, they couldn't come at the same time. So I met the first one. And I wasn't like, I didn't think I would be ever in a relationship again. You know, I had it and I didn't need it. This was so the antithesis of what I had lived most of my life. I had to be connected at the hips in second grade or I wasn't okay. So,
Yeah.
and I had my son, you know, I was focusing on my son. And so I met the second guy and I would set my phone for 50 minutes, 50, and the bell would go off and I'd get up from the table and, you know, I got to go, see ya. We talked an hour and a half, didn't stop. And
Wow.
we are so opposites. Like he was, you know, a hard rocker, open for everybody on the Sunset Strip with a tattooed elbow. Loved his wife. Like she got diagnosed with stage 3.5 cancer and he stood by her, quit his job and started Ubering so he could take her to appointments. And I mean, I never knew anybody like this. So we became friends. I just let him talk, you know, and then he texted me 3 days later. I'd really like to hear your story. I didn't give you time to talk. And I said, oh, just come over. We'll have tea Friday, 4:00. Come over to my house. I've never done that, Melissa. I don't let anybody do that.
Yeah.
So the universe was like, yeah.
Come on.
And we both fought it because he had been in love. He was in love with his wife, like 23 years.
Yeah.
We're together. We're here together.
Wow. I love that. What a beautiful story. And you deserve that. Good.
Thank you.
I love that. Were you like, did you just hold everything in or did you like lash out?
Nobody would ever guess. And then, yeah, there were a few times when I'd have a volcanic eruption, but nobody knew. I mean, even when my book came out and it got posted to Facebook that I had done a podcast in support of it. And I didn't realize like when you respond to somebody who's posting about your podcast that it automatically posts, like that's how stupid I was. My whole town like blew up. Nobody knew this story. Nobody knew they envied our family and the kids. And so it just flipped everybody out. My college boyfriend freaked out. He's like, I didn't know any of this. You know?
Yeah. Oh gosh. See, I was always pretty vocal about my shit. I just was like, but you know how I said it? It was more like, yeah, I mean, it sucked, but like, how great am I that I like am doing so well? Fuck, that's so embarrassing because I was not doing well. I mean, sure, I checked off some real key boxes in life, but like I was not well at all. Every relationship I had was absolute fucking garbage. I mean, it was garbage. I was the center of all that. Literally, I remember the day that I got a horoscope randomly in the middle of this healing thing that was like, go ahead and check into like how you're the center of all the conflict in your life. And I was like, well, that's rude. And then 2 weeks later, I got one that said, check in on how you react when your expectations aren't met. And boy, that was a big one. Learning that like every last fucking thing on earth was a betrayal to me personally. Like I just did not understand that. I mean, that betrayal and neglect are my besides abuse, but that one doesn't get as triggered as easily. So really my betrayal and neglect are pretty equal, and then there's rejection. But like betrayal, because I had these parents who were addicts, so it was nonstop. I will show up for you and then fucking fuck it all up. Like I was just thinking, I showed a client this picture of me because I don't have a lot of childhood pictures, but I somehow was nominated for homecoming queen senior year for wrestling. Mm-hmm. I wasn't involved in wrestling at all, but I had been a few years prior as like a mat maid. Mm-hmm. So the boys got to choose, and I guess they remembered me and they were like, we'll choose her. It was a whole thing. I was very uncool at school, so it was a real big deal. And I was like, yes, I shall do this, because I knew it was like a once in a lifetime thing that I was going to like get to be cool for 5 seconds. So I did it, but I was remembering like the 24 hours prior to that day just being so full of strife, because my mom she was trying real hard to be sober at the time, and I don't think was doing very well, and she had the most toxic relationship with my stepdad, and somehow they arranged for the person who was going to fix my hair, but that created jealousy between my mom and my stepdad. And my grandma had to be gone for some reason, and that never happened, but she was. And my mom was there, and they were fighting nonstop. Hours and hours and hours. I was awake all fucking night with them prior to having to get up at like 6 to go to this place to do my hair, where my mother treated the lady awful because of whatever jealousy. And then I didn't even think she was going to end up showing up to the homecoming thing. And she did. But she was kind of fucked up by the time she got there. And like, that's the whole memory that I have from that day. And every experience went like that. Like there was always something. My dad, he was more of like an opiate lover. So he was pretty chill, but like, because he had quit alcohol, he knew that made him like crazy. But the other stuff, he was just whatever, like he was pretty hooked to like on heroin, morphine, shit like that. He also didn't want us to see him messed up. My mother didn't care. So we had a lot of experience with her and her addiction, but my dad, he kind of stayed away. And I mean, now I'm grateful for that. For so many years, I, had to deal with the abandonment stuff. But the point is, they failed me over and over and over. And then the neglect, because nobody ever gave a shit. Like I was the one nobody ever needed to worry about. Because if I wasn't acting out, I must be fine, right? And nobody did worry about it. They did not fucking care one bit how I was doing, because they just assumed I was fine. So, that narrative where you have the weight of the world on your shoulders alone, and no one's ever going to help you carry that. Boy, that and betrayal just come up every single day. That's the thing I've had to work through, is like, it's not his fault. He happened to be at work when the fucking dog had a seizure. But like, I would then create this whole like, you're never here when I need you, shit with my husband. Yeah. No, honey, he had to go to work, and you work from home, so you happen to be here when the dog. But I'm always like, but I need an adult. Like, this is not for me. I don't want to be the one in charge of things, because am I enough? Like that gets triggered easily, and it's all just within there. And so for me, with there being like 400 adjectives to describe a feeling, it really does work best for me to be like, which wound did this hit? Because I can feel that. I know exactly what it feels like, where it originated from. I know why it's coming up. But if I don't, I know how to be curious about it instead of like staying in my brain, because the over intellectualization of things just drove me mad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I go right to my heart now. I know my thing is abandonment. Mm-hmm. My key thing is abandonment, which isn't too far from neglect. And I've had a lot of that, and chose that as I move forward, right? We keep the same scenarios going.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Painful until we really recognize it. But now I go right to my heart, and oh my gosh, like the soothing is so natural. It's beautiful.
Yes. I had to learn how to do that.
Oh, I can teach you.
No idea.
Yeah.
How did you learn?
Well, I just a lot of modalities. I did traditional talk therapy for longer than I should have. It was really the somatic modalities that help me the most. But that's really what I help my clients with is some of them don't even understand that they're hypnotized by these toxic systems, right? So we tease that out, and then I get them in touch with their natural spiritual gifts. And the heart is one of the biggest. That's like the biggest, because even my son, he's like, Mom, I don't understand that. Like, they definitely don't teach you that in school. They do everything they can to whitewash and sticky glue and gorilla tape that part and stomp it down, because that's where a big piece of our power is as human beings. And in my opinion, that's been trained right out of us and denied. And we fall into suit because we're good people at heart.
Well, we've learned compliance rules all.
Yeah.
And as long as you're compliant, then everything else doesn't matter. But when you are compliant, that equates to cutting off every part of you.
And all that we're complying is untrue. Everything. And that's what's going to be so painful, and is so painful. The people coming to Gently Awakening now, it's so excruciatingly painful to come to terms with that. You don't have to be an abused kid to feel that and to move through that. So that's what I love to do, really help people with that. And that really going into my heart and accessing that, that's been key. Like, of all the decades of growth, that is the key. If I wouldn't have that, forget it. And that's what we shove away, because nobody wants to do that inner work. It's so painful. So painful, but we need to.
I don't know if it is that painful or if we sit in anticipation of how much it will hurt. We are so afraid that it's going to hurt the exact same way it did the first time we experienced those feelings. And yes, it's painful. Yes, it brings shit up and you cry and whatever, but damn, the release is so much more powerful than all those years.
Yeah, you have the experience of it. You've been willing, but there are clients that come to me that are still stuck in the victim mode from, the divorce they're going through, or what their mother or father did to them, and what happened in school, or what happened at their church, and they can't break out of that because they can't go inside and explore it for what it really is and how it really can set them free. So that's my mission. That's my love.
I love that, because actually I think it's even better when I talk to, like, if one of my clients doesn't have this extremely traumatic history from the outside, I love that even more, because I'm like, okay, but you don't have to have had a shitty ass childhood from your version. Like, you don't have to be able to look in and pinpoint all the things that fucked you up for me to know you're carrying the exact same narratives as everybody else. Like, when I started to realize I do that too, and just started to really apply, like, the mirror effect, like, if I hate it in you, it's because I hate it in me. If I'm dismissing you, it's because I'm dismissing myself, like all of those things. And just like, I just started testing little theories, like, okay, well, if this is true, then let me see if I can find a way it's true in this scenario. Damn, it was every time. So I was always like, oh, but that's how I became so compassionate for others, is learning to apply that compassion to me. And like, you don't have to hate yourself for being spicy, like, you can just be you. But we are all the same. And I never felt more connected to humanity than whenever I realized, like, we're all walking around saying the same shit to ourselves. Maybe it looks a little different, and maybe your wounds were created differently, but like, it's the same. We all feel too much and not enough. We all feel fundamentally unlovable. Like, there are all these things that we have so much in common, but we are really taught to see the differences among each other.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that is
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the polarization starts young. And then even depending on the area you live in. I grew up in Oklahoma. I'm still here. Like, in Oklahoma, it doesn't matter what church you go to, you're a fucking fundamentalist. Like, if you're religious in Oklahoma, you are in a cult, period. Like, I don't give a shit what anyone says. Everybody here is super fucking religious, and it's not nice. Like the way that religion is practiced here is not kind. I have a lot of religious trauma from living here, but that's fine. I mean, people be on your path. That's fine. Just don't talk to me about it. But I don't think that, like, if we were taught more about how we are the same, that's true compassion and empathy right there. Not all of these things that people try to teach you, but yet want to separate you, want other people on a pedestal or put you on a pedestal or whatever. And it's like, nah, man, we're all pretty equal here. I mean, not from like the outside, obviously, but like inside, no one's doing that much different shit than the next person. And the motivations aren't that all that different either.
Yep. Yep. A lot of people don't know that yet. They don't know that yet. They haven't gone through the dig to even get there yet.
I know. That's what drives me crazy sometimes is I'm like, do you realize, like, because I'll hear people talk and it fucking, now that I'm so connected to myself, sometimes it's like harder to hear people say stuff because it will hit me right in the heart. And I I'm developing more of a force field for those things. But like, honestly, I'm so squishy inside now. So I have to be very careful about like what I take in. I used to be a true crime girly. I fucking would fall asleep to it. Cannot watch that stuff. Oh yeah, I know. Isn't that terrible?
It's wonderful because it shows your evolution. It shows that your frequency is raising.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. And you can feel that too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I remember whenever I started like just vibing, and I was like, oh damn. And everyone around you just starts. That's why I always tell my clients, when you change, the world around you changes. And then this little world, you just continue that ripple effect, because I do have a mission of like global impact. I do want to change as many lives as possible, and not because like I'm whatever, but my gifts lie in my story and having conversations like this. And if people can hear that and have any sort of impact, shit, that's all I want. That's all I want, because you don't have to be so driving yourself crazy all the time,
Well, and carrying such a heavy load that doesn't even belong to you.
It doesn't. You're exactly right. Yeah. It was never meant for you to carry that shit. Just put it down. But I mean, I know it's so much easier for us to just like use certain phrases and slogans because, we understand what they mean on a very intimate level. But that's why it's dangerous to have people out there just like, well, remember, were you ever very present on social media? Like, were you ever super into it?
So I felt from the first, I would never want anybody to know that personal information about me. And I didn't understand why you would go heart something when you didn't even read it, just to be accepted, like fluff that. So I never got into it. And it's really hurt me now because it's really harder to get my messaging out.
And
so
you don't have any at all?
No, I do. I have Instagram. I have a channel on YouTube where I have like probably 1,100 people really engaged, where I post videos once a week. And now I'm just having 20-minute gold conversations about people that are coming out of toxic systems and how they did it. Like I have a lieutenant colonel retired from the Army, says leading his troops into battle was easy in comparison with the desk job he had in Seoul, Korea, and how he got through that.
Wow.
So, that's what I'm doing, but I don't understand what I'm doing. I post on Instagram because there's something exquisitely beautiful and I want to share it with people. I had a coach that I was working with. I can't do those page long things that I'm somebody's best friend and here's why they want to work with me because of blah, blah, blah. It just is so fraudulent. And I don't know what the authentic is yet.
Yes.
And I didn't like when it was suggested I go onto Facebook and troll groups where people really need my help.
Yes. No, I don't want to do any of that. Yes.
No. So
that's been my struggle too, is like, how do you fucking market yourself authentically? But you know what, for me, what I've determined, and if you're at all interested, one of my friends I became friends with her by doing this with her, but she was on my show, and then she's on this mission to like do 100 calls with women about their human design. So she does it for your business. So when I did it, it just confirmed a lot for me. Like, cause there's still like questions I'll have about intuition, basically, in terms of how I do my business. And so I've had several people offer to help me and whatever, but like some of it's just straight up not aligned with who I am. And I'm not going to go fucking create some fake ass thing just to promote myself. I've always had to feel what I'm doing. But what she confirmed for me was like storytelling is my gift, and videos. Like if I do clips of conversation I have, people do fucking listen. Like every time I post something like that where I am talking, I do get a really big response, but I feel okay about that. But I don't want to go, I don't like, okay, you have a posting schedule. Like I'm going to have to do that for an event I'm doing. And that's fine, because I've committed to, marketing it. But like, I hate it. I hate that shit. I can't fucking wait until I can give all of those admin duties to somebody else, because it sucks your soul right out of what you're doing. Because
and I don't even want an admin doing it. I'm doing it now because I feel moved to do it. Like I write a piece, it gets posted to a foundation, CPDSD foundation, and people find me that way. I feel so much better about that than having an agenda and making sound bites and shorts that meet that agenda. I won't do that anymore unless I'm feeling like really authentic. It comes from my heart, and I know like I'm getting the intuitive hit. I'm very clear. I listen to my intuition now. I'm like, much better. I know my psychic abilities. I know why I'm here on this planet, what is evolving for me. And I know I have a big message for groups of people.
What is your North Node?
What is my North Node? What does that mean? Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look on my,
I was just curious. Honestly, learning mine really helped me because my North Node's in Leo.
Oh.
And so I was like, well, that definitely explains why as a child I always looked for a stage.
Yeah, my North Node is in Leo.
Okay, I knew it. Yeah, because once I learned that, I was like, okay, honey, just when you're overcoming some of the shit, the self-esteem shit or whatever, when you're putting yourself out there, I was like, just go be that person. Like, that's eventually, this is like all the things that you've ever wanted are going to happen. So just go be that person. So that's what I do. I just go be that person if I'm not feeling like I'm that person in the moment. That's what I do. But it helps, because then it just confirms to me like how to get over those humps of, am I enough? Like for real, I'm giving a keynote speech on Wednesday. I'm doing a panel Tuesday and a keynote speech on Wednesday. Haven't written that shit. Sure have not. I'm going to get to Seattle and start working on it.
Yeah, that's not who you are. You're going to
get
that,
I got to be there. I got to feel energy. And then like, I'll just bust it out. That's what I always do. I have thrown my own workshops and not written the shit until the morning of. Like I'll have some notes, but then something clicks, usually in the shower. And then I'm like, oh, that was the piece. Okay, great. Now I can just go pound it out in 20 minutes and I'm good. And this is only like a 30-minute thing. So I know the highlights. And honestly, if it didn't need to be organized, give me a mic and I can talk for hours without stopping. So it's not that I'm like, I want to put some things together so that I'm not like, I want some specific things said. I just don't know what yet. I'm just waiting. I'm going to get there. I'm going to fill it out. And I already know, like, I'm not worried about it. But see, imposter syndrome would have knocked me down a year ago. Like, I don't know that I would have had the nerve to go and do this because, who am I? Blah, blah, blah. And now I'm like, I know who the fuck I am. I'm going to go tell these people who the fuck I am.
That sounds great. And I relate. I think there's something for me. There's something that's just inauthentic. Yeah, I'll spend some time. I'll meditate. I'll write some notes like you. but it comes out authentically that day, whatever it is. And I think that's one of the things that is attractive to other
Yeah,
people about us, because they know we're real. That's why it's
absolutely.
great you have the white behind you, because people that can see the auras, they know you're for real.
Yes,
They're
I
not
know.
people.
That's the thing that makes me, I think, a little nervous sometimes. It's the one thing I've really had to overcome is like understanding that I'm not meant for everyone. Like, like people, not everyone's going to be ready for me is a better way to say that. And because I mean, I'm if I'm not meant for you, that's a you problem. But anyway, so like not everyone's going to be ready for this energy, right? And that's fine. But I don't measure success in how many people decided that what I said was impactful. Like, I don't even need the feedback to know. I mean, is it great? Yes, of course it is. But I already know whoever was meant to hear that shit that day is in the audience and they're going to hear it. Like, I put it out to the universe a while ago, like, send me for this podcast and for my clients, the people that are meant to be in this energy, and I'm going to get just as much from them as they get from me. Like, just that synergy, like, send me those people. And boy, the universe delivered. I mean, I have connected with so many wonderful people. I learn every single episode just as much as anybody listening, because I am really open to whoever I'm talking to. I there's no shift in who I am talking to you, my family, my friends, publicly. Like, I had to just really that's my big non-negotiable is I don't change. I will not say fuck as much in front, like giving a speech, but that's really the only difference you're going to get is literally my cussing. I will watch my mouth, but it's hard. It's hard for me. So, we'll do our best, but they'll probably get an occasional shit thrown in there,
You are adorable, Melissa.
Thank you. Well, like I said, you're getting me on a good day. I took a nap this morning. I finally got an energy drink. I've been really tired, and today I'm not, so it's all good. Although I'm getting a little sweaty, so. Well, is there anything that you want to, make sure that you have said today?
Yeah, I want to make sure that people know my site is susangold.us. People love my newsletter. I send it out whenever I feel good about putting some information out. But really, if you want to start your recovery off on the right foot, come by for a grounding activation, because you have the power within yourself. But you need to find a place of balance and grounding first. And most of us don't understand what that is. So it would be my pleasure and my privilege to give your audience a grounding activation. It's about 30 minutes.
Okay, awesome. Let me look really quick.
My book?
Yes, please say the name of your book. Okay, I do have a link to your socials and to your website.
Look at that. And my book is called Toxic Family: Transforming Childhood Trauma into Adult Freedom.
I love that. Oh, that sounds amazing. Do you have an Audible version?
I don't yet.
Okay.
I only have the paperback. It's really cheap, and I think you can get it free sometimes on Kindle.
Oh, okay. I have a Kindle. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I have
Check it
the
out.
app on my phone. So I have a 4-hour plane ride ahead of me today. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'll download it before I get on the plane.
I've been told that it's many people's story in one story, but I've been told once you get through the childhood, the rest of it rocks.
Oh, because do people have a strong reaction to hearing the shit you went through?
Yeah, it's pretty intense
Yeah.
on the childhood. I didn't really include everything, but
I couldn't either, because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna lose folk. I had to okay, so I have a friend here now. We're friends, but I met him through him being like a public speaker. I worked in education, and he was a former foster child, and teachers had a big impact on him, blah, blah, blah. So he does a lot of speaking. And he was telling us whenever the first time I saw him speak, like his editor was like, you're going to have to take about 3/4 of that out because people are too sad, like too sad. And I remember hearing that and being like, okay, I got to be careful when I write my book. But damn, dude, it actually got kind of tiresome to hear like, oh, you know, your book made me so sad. And I was like, imagine fucking living through it. Like, can you just not like go tell someone else how sad you are about it? God, because it was triggering that I'm too much thing, you know, like I was like, oh, good, my story's too much too. Excellent. Love it.
Well, I didn't think my story was that unique. And it turns out it is unique and it is helping other people. And they are triggered to remember pieces from their own childhood, but it's also aspirational and it is inspiring and it is to show you, yes, you can get through the muck and you're here to get through the muck. That's part of why we're here on this planet. Otherwise, we'd be elsewhere, Melissa.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Once I learned that, like, oh, okay, everyone's parents fucked them up in some way or another, and we just have to learn how to overcome that. Okay, cool. It's made me feel much better about fucking my kids up too. Like, I'm like, well, you know, I'll pay for your therapy, and that's that. I'm being so silly. All right. Thank you so much for being on. I'd love to stay connected in any way that you're comfortable with, and I'll make sure that I send you links and all that stuff whenever your episode's time to post.
I really look forward to it. Take
Well,
care.
have a great day. Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Hey, make sure you've given the show a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening to if you haven't already. And check out my website, empoweredwithmelissahepner.org, or my link tree on Instagram at melissa.hepner to check out my latest offers or workshops.
Emotionally unavailable. Emotionally unavailable.
INDEPE and cut.